Los Zapatos.
Is that shoe? I don't know
Yes.
what that means. You could have said anything and I would have just assumed it meant shoe.
Well,
¿Dónde es la biblioteca? Where is the shoe library?
see.
The library, but for shoes. That's a thing, right? I feel like that could be a thing. A library for shoes.
Is that
Yeah.
not a shoe store?
But
well, no,
so
because
you check them
you're
out.
renting it. Yeah.
Yeah.
A bowling alley?
Honestly,
Okay. Yeah.
technically, you're not wrong.
That's a good point.
Oh
Welcome
yeah,
to
we're
the
recording. Can we keep that in the podcast?
We'll splice that in.
Okay. Cool.
Yo, it's your boy Seth. I don't know why I start these the same way every week. And welcome to
better. And also I'm Phillip. Hello.
And this is the Brute Neighbors podcast. We've been gone for a couple weeks hiatus. We've been having technical difficulties, and also, we're innovating creatively to give you, the viewers, the best content possible.
Yes, I definitely gave this podcast a ton of thought in the past 2 or 3 weeks and have not just completely forgotten about it. That's definitely not what happened.
We have both not done that.
What are we talking about this week, Seth?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because we're talking about shoes.
The thing on your feet.
Watchmen, specifically the Zack Snyder film and the graphic novel.
Who watches The Watchmen? We did. Kind of a pun.
And some mystery thing selected by Phillip this week.
I'm slightly prepared this time.
It's very refreshing to have a change of pace like that from Phillip.
I had 4 weeks to prepare, and I definitely only decided on it like 20 minutes ago.
That counts. So, without further ado, let's get started on shoes. Phillip, what do you think about shoes?
I wear them rather frequently. Some might say daily.
Now that you mention it, I actually wear them pretty often too.
And it's weird, right? It's weird.
I've always wanted to become like a shoeless person. Like I like the idea of living my life barefoot.
So homeless. But as someone who hasn't had shoes, it's not as fun as you think. I mean, I guess if you choose to not have shoes, I guess if it's a choice thing, it's like one of those things where it's like, if you don't want it and have it, then it sucks. But like if you have the option and you seek it out, it's a little more worthwhile.
It's like fasting. I mean, if you choose not to eat for a week, it's a bit easier than somebody who
starving to death
doesn't have food.
Yeah.
But no, despite that, I just keep on coming back to shoes. I keep on putting them on my feet.
How many shoes do you currently own? All right, 2-part question. How many do you currently own, and how many do you actually wear regularly?
I think on my shoe rack I have about 11 pairs.
Shoe rack, you fancy.
I stole it from my roommate last year.
Nice. We love theft.
Yeah.
And how many of those 11 pairs of shoes do you actually wear? Let's say even once a month.
Once a month? Well, it depends on the time of year too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wear a good 4 or 5 once a month, because but my shoes that get worn regularly are my sneakers, my sandals, and my boat shoes. And then, like, not during the summer months, I wear my cowboy boots and my hiking boots very often too. So I mean, I guess that's only about 3 depending on the time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What about you?
Well, see, I am very much in the get judged minority for the fact that I just wear like the same pair of shoes everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like I have a few pairs. I couldn't even tell you the exact number because those other shoes I barely wear at all. But I want to say I have my daily shoes. I just literally wear everywhere, to work, for casual, whatever. I want to say 2 pairs of fancy dress shoes, one brown, one black. Only wear the black ones.
Oh,
Um,
I forgot about my dress shoes. They would be a pair that I wear pretty regularly too. For like
I
church and fancy events.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. See, I don't get fancy that often. Usually, like weddings or like fancy parties are the only times I ever wear those, which are only a couple times a year. I have this one pair of shoes that's like a half boot kind of thing that's like kind of fancy-ish. It's my middle. If like if like I don't want to be on full on dress shoe, but I want to look better than just tennis shoes, then I
Mhm.
wear those, which also I don't wear regularly. And then I have my slides.
Mhm.
And that's about it. I think I still have I think I still have my ROTC shoes from high school. I think I still have those because I used to use those as dress shoes for a while until I could actually afford real dress shoes.
Yeah. I feel bad because I want a nice pair of slippers because I have slippers, but I never put them on because why?
See, that's what I have. I honestly I never thought I would use slippers.
Yeah.
And I don't own any, but like ever since like I've just had my slides around, like I will just like put them on to go into the kitchen now. So
Yeah.
like just because so the bottoms of my feet don't get cold. So like
Yeah.
I would probably actually like slippers. Weirdly enough, which I never thought I would get to a point in my
Well,
life that I would like slippers. But I could probably go for a nice pair of slippers.
yeah. I know last year I got into the habit of because I had really dirty roommates, and so for whatever reason I could expect to like walk into the kitchen and step in something sticky and
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
another reason I wear.
and so I would get into the habit of putting on sandals or sometimes slippers to walk around in public spaces. Yeah.
Because like I always assumed that I wouldn't ever want slippers because like I don't get cold typically.
Yeah.
So like I'm like, oh, they're only to like keep your feet warm. But it's like it's just kind of nice. It's weirdly comforting to have something on your feet sometimes, like
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
like full on putting shoes.
I would agree with that.
It's weird.
Um,
I feel like this is like I feel like once you like slippers, you've just become a dad. Like I
yeah.
feel like that's just something you don't do until like you are mentally a 40-year-old man.
Yes, Papa.
Ooh, love it when you call me Big Papa.
Well, only when I'm not calling you daddy.
Oh, yow.
So anyway, I've also
You're gonna get the
well,
shoe. I don't know what
oh,
that means, but ooh,
are you gonna give me the shoe?
is that? I guess that's probably a sex thing, right? Someone's probably into that, like getting hit with a shoe
Yeah, I
instead of like a
suppose.
belt or something. I guess it works out.
Well, okay, so
We talk
now
about the real things
I'm
on the
just
podcast.
I'm thinking about
If you're
like
into it,
I'm thinking about people getting hit with flip flops, and now I'm wondering, does that turn into like a weird Freudian thing where you want to get hit with shoes?
why would that be Freudian? Wait, what do you mean?
Because if you're like if growing up you get spanked with a shoe.
See, I never had that, so like I forgot that was even a thing that actually happens. But honestly,
Yeah.
yeah, probably it's probably the same thing as all the daddy shit, except with shoes. Someone
Well,
has
I
shoe
feel like
issues.
I feel like we're really, breaking ground here. I feel like we're
We
onto something.
when are we gonna write our thesis on people liking shoe sex?
This just becomes like a psychology track podcast.
We break down people's kinks,
Goodness
starting with
gracious.
shoes.
That's our new side series is
Yeah,
just
guys, check out our new secondary podcast,
intro to psychology.
Intro to Psychology, Kinks, Intro to Kinkology, the science of kinks.
Goodness gracious.
So
Um
shoes, getting hit with
shoes.
them, wearing them.
Yeah. All these things
So many
and more.
uses for shoes.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I used to be the kind of person who only had one pair of shoes. And I think what kind of made me like amass as many shoes as I have was probably just, I mean, I'm an adult now, and so I don't grow out of shoes. It's just like whenever they get worn down
Mhm.
is when I need to throw them
That's
away.
the only time I buy new shoes
Yeah.
is when, like, I mean, it typically happens probably more frequently than it does for others because I only wear the same pair of shoes
Yeah.
typically. Like, I mean, I used to just buy shitty Walmart shoes, and those I'd have to replace every like 4 months. But I've started getting like actually decent shoes the past couple of years, and like that'll last me a good year. And
Oh yeah.
then I just honestly I just buy the same. Like literally, I just bought new shoes like a month ago, and they're the exact same shoe that I had
Mhm.
before. It's just like I don't know. It's a weird. I don't want to try new things when it comes to my shoes. Like this one works. I'm gonna go with it. Like I have to wear it every day because I also walk all the time because I don't have a car. So like I need if like I found a shoe that works for me, I don't want to fuck with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think you mentioned something that is a very good point. The more shoes you have, the less often you need to get new shoes.
Mhm.
Like, because I used to run through a pair of sneakers like once or twice a year, but
Mhm.
I don't think I've bought sneakers since the beginning of college.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
See, my issue though also is like I don't really do shoes for fashion. Like I mean, other than my dress
Hmm.
shoes, which I just have almost as a necessity
Yeah.
for like interviews and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I don't give a shit what my shoes look like really, so I just wear black shoes. So if I bought more shoes, it'd probably just be all of the same kind of shoe.
See,
Just have a
yeah,
fleet of black sneakers.
I am not proud to say that as much as people like to rag on me for my dressing choices, all of my dressing choices are very deliberate. So I have become that you know, shoe conscious tool.
Got to make sure it matches your
Yeah.
shirt or whatever the fuck.
I mean, like I will literally not wear sneakers one day because my blue sneakers don't go with whatever the rest of my outfit.
See, that's why you just dress in all black, and then you don't gotta worry about matching.
Well, if I
It
dressed in
works.
all, see, well, and that's the problem is I wasn't smart when I bought those shoes because I bought them with the mindset of, oh, I'm wearing shorts right now, whatever. But I can't wear navy blue sneakers with blue jeans.
Sure, you can. Be brave. Fight the norms. Fight the patriarchy.
Yes. um, so
Patriarchy and their shoes.
I would like to. I think it's important that during this conversation we get around to cowboy boots, um, as sort of, you know, ubiquitous with American culture. You know,
I have never owned, and I don't think I've worn a pair of cowboy boots.
well, I had not until this last year, and it's one of those things that like I don't know why it sort of surprised me, but it I just never really thought through the fact that they're just a slip-on shoe. Like you just buy a pair that fit you and you just put them on, which
I'm
I don't know. Slip-on shoes still kind of like blow my mind just
I'm gonna
because.
to admit to something that all of our listeners and you will revile me for. I'm one of those assholes who just like I tie my shoes once and then I just never untie them and I just put them on and off as I need them. I don't untie and tie them. I think it's a waste of time.
Um, so, viewers, if you're just joining us now, Philip just admitted that he's a psychopath.
I mean,
Uh,
that was known. That's nothing new.
that
It's just
that
the
that he
level of it has
has
increased.
no conscience, and
Fair.
this is like I saw a meme the other day where it was sort of doing a pun off of the trolley problem. It was the shopping cart problem, and it's like there are no ramifications to you not returning the shopping cart. Do you do it anyway just to be, a decent person? That's one of those things.
Shopping cart being leaving out
day.
your shopping cart fucks someone over, because the poor ass cashier making $7.25 an hour, if you're in Alabama, because Alabama's minimum wage is bullshit, has to go out there in the fucking Alabama heat in the summer, push that and all the other carts back into the little rack, and then bring them into the store. That's fucking someone over. Me not untying and tying my shoes affects no one else. You had no idea until I told you. It doesn't affect any appearance or anything. And it saves time. I can just throw on my shoes and walk out the door. I don't have to sit there and tie my shoes. Doop, 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 doop. I'm just gone. It's efficient.
I'm sad.
Good.
I also, Converse are also a very noteworthy brand of shoes that just sort of standard tennis shoe sort of look. Have you ever owned a pair of Converse?
Not knowingly.
Okay.
I don't even know what brand is my shoe. Well, New Balance. I have New Balances.
They're like
we're going on a journey.
Yes, we're going on a field trip.
With the frizz? No way.
They're this kind of shoe.
For our audio listeners, which is all of you, he's holding up a pair of Converses. And by pair, I mean one single shoe.
But they're just kind of thought of as the standard tennis shoe. I think they're probably one of they're an older brand, but there's not really any support. It's honestly, it's not. It's for all intents and purposes, it shouldn't be a good shoe, but there's just something about it in the public subconscious that makes you be like, ooh, I need to wear my Converse.
Marketing, brainwashing by the media. I took a couple classes on that.
Yeah.
You've been brainwashed, Seth.
I'm aware.
How much is a pair of Converses?
I'm a slave to American capitalism.
Anarchy.
I like to consume goods. I like to buy things and own them.
I just saw myself in the webcam and I realized my beard has gotten very thick. I'm gonna go lumberjack. I've decided I'm just gonna go full lumberjack.
Very lumberjack. Are you a lumbersexual?
I don't know what that means. What is it that do I fuck lumber? Do I fuck lumberjacks? Or am I a lumber? No. We're gonna analyze it. No. We're committed now. So am I the lumberjack? I identify as a lumberjack. Is that what it would be?
So
am I a lumberjack that also has sex with lumberjacks?
Yes.
Okay, I'm okay with that. You can start wearing plaid.
Do you have any particular shoes you want to talk about?
As I said before, I'm not really. I am a shoe guy, and then I wear shoes, but I'm not a shoe guy. As in, I'm not into. I don't collect shoes. I know a lot of people. I've dated girls who have at least 50 shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just a shoe that goes with one outfit. And I've never understood that. And I know it's it's a different mindset, different, I personally have never understood who needs that many shoes. And it's an outfit you wore once for one party. Why? But I've never understood dresses that you only wear once.
That's always. I get the dresses more than
shoes,
but also that has always bothered me. I say as having purchased a tux for my high school prom that I never wore again and will probably never wear again.
Wear it right now. Yeah, dress up.
I have it in my closet. I'll break it out.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I never, and if you're doing it from a collector's standpoint of oh, you just like shoes, you think they're pretty, I get that more than, because we all have shit we collect and just to, I collect movies. Half the movies I own I haven't even seen because I have no time. Like,
Well,
we all have our shit we like and want to collect. So if it's a collector standpoint, I understand that more than I do, oh, it goes to this one dress I'll wear one time, and then I'm going to keep them forever but never wear them again. And
well,
they're going to hide in the back of my closet covered by everything. It's like, I don't see the point.
yeah. Think about like Yeezys and the concept that once every I actually don't know how often new Yeezys come out, like once a year, once every few years, that every time this one type of shoe drops, everybody jumps online and sells them out like immediately just to hold on to them, never sell like and never wear them, but maybe hold on to them for a year to resell them at like twice the value.
And that's, we can have a whole conversation on scalping. I don't even understand
Oh yeah.
scalping to begin with. Like, especially on, like, how is there a resale value on shoes? Like, again, like I just said, I get it if you're a collector.
Yeah.
But if you're like actually like spending like a couple thousand at least on shoes that you're just like, what do you do with them? Do you put them in a podium with a glass case? Like, do you have a shoe museum? Like, that's the only way I could, because otherwise it's just still sitting in your closet. Like,
Yeah.
so what's the fucking point? Like, unless you just have a straight up fucking shoe museum in the front lobby of your house, because if you're buying shoes like that, you probably have a mansion or some shit. You probably have a fucking lobby. Like, that's so weird. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't know. Shoes are good. They keep my feet safe. It sucks having holes in your shoes. Don't do
Yes.
that.
I agree.
My last shoes had a hole in them for a couple weeks before I was able to get new ones, and let me tell you, not fun. Get a good piece of glass because someone broke a beer bottle on the road up in your shoe, and it's no bueno.
God, that made me think about a one time when I was camping and I fell asleep with my with my feet on the fire ring, and I mean my feet were cold and that made my feet warm, so I didn't think too much of it. And then when I woke up, I had holes burned into my shoes and my socks had melted.
Jesus, the fact that you didn't light yourself on fire.
I didn't notice until I like stood up and like because my feet were like, it's not like it burned my feet at all, but like I stood up and was like, wow, the like soles of my shoes feel really weird.
That'll do it. Jesus Christ! Don't set your shoes on fire, kids, especially when they're on you.
Yeah.
Fun fact of the day, safety tip. Let's see. Do we got anything else on shoes?
No, of course. Let's not forget the optimal use of shoes as projectiles, as weapons.
Like when you throw them at George W. Bush.
Like if you threw them at George W. Bush, let us not forget one of the most iconic moments of our childhood when somebody was interviewing the President of the United States, threw a shoe at him, and he ducked Matrix style before getting another shoe thrown at him.
He does it again. Okay, I'm going to post the link in the description because I'm not a fan of George Bush's policies and stuff. He has respect for me for that because that was incredible. Like, this dude threw a shoe at him, he ducked, and then he threw another shoe at him, and he dodged again. And it's one of the that is the best moment of like any presidency I've been alive for in terms of just cool actions.
Oh yeah.
Because like it's weirdly badass. Like, it's not because he just got shoes thrown at him, but like it also is. Like, regardless of your thoughts on him as a president, that was fucking cool. I'm gonna post the link to the video in the description because it's just fun to watch.
I definitely recommend if you haven't already.
The fucking shoe ninja.
But yeah, no. All in all, pro shoes.
Pro shoes, they keep my feet not stepping on glass if I don't have holes in them. So
yes, yeah.
Have you ever had? I had a friend who had a nail go through their shoe.
That's never.
It's like a phobia of mine. I'm always afraid that I'm gonna get something just shook.
Yeah.
Especially when I have holes in my shoes.
that's never happened to me personally. But there was a camping trip we went on that this one kid was wearing Crocs and he stepped on a nail.
Ugh.
And I mean, it was pretty bad, but like he was able to get bandaged up pretty quickly. It didn't like puncture anything. It just like it just poked him. But we had to take an entire few hours out of our trip just to take him to the ER and get him a tetanus shot.
What an asshole. Ruining it for
Yeah.
everybody. All right. Yeah, I'm pro shoes. Shoes are cool. I probably need more shoes. Probably just having the one pair of shoes is lame, but like,
Yeah.
one $60 pairs of shoes a year gets me by.
Ugh.
Ooh.
Ugh.
Ooh.
All right. So, Watchmen.
Watchmen.
Yeah.
All right. First off, gonna remember this time. Spoilers for Watchmen. Both the graphic novel and the Zack Snyder movie. Seth might talk a little bit about the show for like referentially, but I haven't seen it
Yeah.
either, so we're not gonna go too much into the show. But
Yeah,
spoilers are mostly gonna cover the graphic novel and the film. So,
Sorry.
wow, good job interrupting me. Rude.
I was trying to lend context to the spoiler warning, but
Joe, context it up.
no, I mean you did it. You
Did I steal your thunder?
you
I'm
did
so
a great
sorry. Your
job.
spoiler thunder. Oh, thanks, buddy. So we both got into Watchmen relatively recently. I read it for the first time about 8 months ago or so, around Christmas time last year, and I actually got you into Watchmen. I let you borrow my copy of Watchmen, which has been stolen from me, been taken hostage.
I have thefted it.
Okay, weird side note. I am now the third person that I know personally who has lent out their copy of Watchmen to someone and not ever gotten it back. Like, this is like a thing that people just lend out their copy of Watchmen and just don't get it back. Like, it's just a curse upon Watchmen. If you lend it out, you're not getting it back. I should have known. I tempted fate. I was like, oh, I know Seth. He's a good buddy of mine. He'll make sure I get my Watchmen copy back.
Yeah. For all of you audio viewers out there,
audio viewers.
What I did was I gave a subtle wink at camera to sort of indicate sarcasm.
It reads very well over an audio podcast.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, no. So he literally in the past month or so, you read what you now have consumed more Watchmen than I have.
Yes.
Because I got you into it, but like you went full steam. You dove into it. You read the novel, then watched the show, and then watched the movie, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I've only watched the theatrical version of the movie, not the director's cut or ultimate cut. But I think the only other than that, the only bit of official Watchmen media I haven't consumed is the before Watchmen series.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the new Watchmen stuff.
Yeah.
I have only read the graphic novel and seen the Zack Snyder movie, which I like the Zack Snyder movie. I know you. I think you said you weren't a huge fan of it.
Yeah, it just didn't really vibe as well for me.
The biggest issue I have with the Zack Snyder film is it's both the issue I have with it and what I appreciate about it is that it's very much just kind of a copy paste of the graphic novel for the most part. But doing so, it's almost like because you're taking a however many pages graphic novel and copy pasting it to a movie, you kind of have to bullet point the story points a little bit. So it feels a little more manufactured and less natural. I think the director's cut helps that a bit. I've not seen the theatrical version, but I've only seen the director's cut. But I think it helps a little bit. Helps flesh out some certain scenes a bit more and makes it feel a little less bullet pointy. But that's definitely a reasonable complaint. Is that like sure it keeps everything from the graphic novel and that's cool. I think we've discussed it on the podcast before. Is that there's a difference between being a good adaptation and being a good movie. I think it's a very good adaptation, but loses a little bit of soul as a movie.
Yeah, but even though it is pretty much a copy paste of the graphic novel, they decide to just go a completely drastically different way for the ending. I mean, I was glad like the integrity of how the ending played out was still kept, but the big reveal was completely different from what it was in the graphic novel. And for me, I would have preferred if they had just done copy paste from the graphic novel.
I definitely get that. I think because I think Zack Snyder, and I'm not one to defend Zack Snyder. I think he's not a great director.
Mhm.
His best movies that I've seen at least are Watchmen and 300, and 300 is not great, honestly, but it's one of his better movies.
Mhm.
He's not my favorite director by any means, but I think he was trying to get Watchmen in front of as big of an audience as he could, and I don't know. Like now, Watchmen is relatively well known, but even like when that movie came out, what it was at least over a decade ago, maybe closer to 2 decades ago.
Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick. 2009. So yeah, a little over a decade ago. It wasn't as well known. Comics were still like only just blowing up because the Marvel Cinematic Universe had only just started around that time. So it was a little more niche. I think he wanted to get this movie out and enjoyed by as wide of an audience as possible. So like, as much as I do love the ending of the graphic novel, the whole faking an alien with artists to it's a little wacky for mainstream audiences.
Yeah.
And tying it into because the ending of the movie, if I recall, isn't it that like Dr. Manhattan is like the threat that everyone thinks?
Yes.
Yeah.
That Dr. Manhattan has blown up New York City.
So Dr. Manhattan, who's already kind of a big character for mainstream audiences to wrap their head around in the first place, and then you add an alien on top of it. I think honestly, if he was going for a get the mainstream audience
Mhm.
route, I think that was a smart way of doing it because you already have this one concept that's kind of out there that you have to have. Fuck it, let's make the ending tie into that instead of introducing another out there concept.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, and I'm sure I would have a much different consumption of it if had I had not gone into it having already read the graphic novel.
Mhm.
But I do think that there was a way that they could have tried to lay the groundwork for an alien.
Yeah.
Which I mean they do quite well in the graphic novel that could not be easily transferred over to a film, but I feel like they're I mean, and I mean I can take issue with anyone's directorial methods, so I'm just sort of pulling at straws here, but
Yeah. I mean, it's a reasonable complaint, and like the fact that I can definitely understand, like, oh, everything else was copy pasted, but you changed this
yeah.
one vital thing. I can see that being off putting. I do think though that because also you have to consider he probably had studio pressure.
Hmm.
Even to get that movie made in the first place is probably hell because again, it wasn't a
Yeah.
huge giant thing yet. So I think he did as good a job as he could while still keeping as faithful to the themes and overall plot as he could. So like
Hmm.
I think Snyder did a good job on Watchmen. It's the only praise I'll ever give to Snyder because I don't think he's a good director typically, but I think he did good with the Watchmen movie. I think he did about as well as anyone could.
Hmm.
Watchmen was actually the first thing I read in a while. I haven't done a lot of reading the past couple of years,
Yeah.
but like I read Watchmen. I got it for a gift and I zoomed through it. I read it in 2 days, and it just kind of like re-sparked my interest in reading and comics again too. I've never been super big into comics and graphic novels, but like there's some good shit out there, man. Like it's not
Hmm.
all just superhero stuff. I mean, Watchmen is, but there's also the fact that it's kind of a little more adult oriented
Yeah.
Not kind of, it is very much so. There's some
Oh,
very
yeah.
heavy shit in Watchmen.
I mean, Watchmen is at its core just it is definitely a work of literature. Like I have consistently seen Watchmen described as one of the few graphic novels that is without question a member of the literary canon, just because of the themes it explores, the depths that it explores them to. Obviously, we're not going to jump into this what makes a work of art here, because everything is art, but
Yeah, it
Watchmen
is.
truly is just so masterfully crafted.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And it's interesting too. And like, I mean, if we're going down the what is art rabbit hole, I feel like you have to include comics and superhero stuff as art, because if you're including Watchmen as art, Watchmen at its core is a deconstruction of the superhero genre.
Yeah.
It is in response to the superhero genre, and criticizing it in a lot of ways, flipping a lot of things on its head. But you would not have Watchmen without superhero comics.
Yeah.
So like, I think that in and of itself kind of shows like, okay, this was art and this is a response to pre-existing art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just you can say it's more in depth, which I think it is. You can say it's better, which I think it is. But like, there's so many people that just blow off comics as just trashy and not real anything. But like, I absolutely think it's art. People say, I mean, of course, there was that whole drama, I think last year, of Scorsese saying the Marvel films weren't art or weren't cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I get what he was saying, and I wish more people would go out and watch movies that aren't just the biggest superhero movie, but like, there's still art, there's still artistry to them, and there's the fact that there's standouts in the genre that people want to pick and choose and say, oh yeah, superhero movies aren't art. Oh, except Logan, except Black Panther, except Joker. It's like, you can't have it both ways. Like, if those are, so are the rest of them. You just prefer these to the others.
Yeah.
But we could go down that rabbit hole for 1,000 years. Watchmen itself, though, who would you say is your favorite character? Do you have a favorite character in Watchmen?
Oof. I mean, I wouldn't say he's my favorite character, but for me, the most identifiable, or the one that I identified the most with, was Night Owl. Just like this Dudley do-good, overgrown Boy Scout, who's also like, I mean, he's not great, but that's also part of the beauty of it, is every single character is not like, every single character has good things and bad things.
Oh, yeah.
No character is perfect. No character is completely evil. Yeah.
Including the villain.
Yeah, I mean, the villain is, I mean,
again, big spoilers for Watchmen.
Yeah.
If you didn't get the hint, here's the hint. Go away if you don't want spoilers. Ozymandias is fucking amazing. I fucking love Ozymandias.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with that, and especially watching in the show, the TV series. Again, not giving away any spoilers other than who's in it.
Is Ozzy in the show?
Yes, and that makes me love Ozzy even more, because we get a lot in Watchmen, the graphic novel. He's just kind of sort of playing around on the sidelines until it's revealed that he is very relevant to the storyline. But in the show, you finally actually get to see him doing his thing and just kind of dicking around. And I mean, he's fun. He's
That's the thing. He's very charismatic, and that's the point of the character. Is like, he genuinely thinks he is doing the right thing by killing all these people.
Yeah.
He thinks that it's for the greater good, and by doing this, saving mankind. And
Yeah.
he even has, you can tell he still has morality, because like he'll do something fucked up. Like he killed his henchman, and he was like, I'm sorry, I had no other choice. If I kept you alive, the whole thing could come unraveled. Like he seemed to show genuine remorse. And even at the end, after he's accomplished the plan, I believe it's to Dr. Manhattan, he's like, did I do the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
And like he still has that turmoil. He's not just this, over the top villain trying to, kill off people for no reason. He genuinely thinks it's this legitimate, vital course of action for humanity.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is a testament to both Ozymandias, to the writers, to the entire story in and of itself. I would go so far as to say Ozymandias is one of the best people in the book, but he is also the one who does one of the most terrible things you can imagine.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at like Rorschach, who has probably what most people would consider the most straightforward look at justice.
Yeah.
But he's also incredibly fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Like he's like, and also I did not expect to like Rorschach as much as I did.
I really like Rorschach. And I mean, I think it's very easy to look at Rorschach and from just sort of a two-dimensional point of view, be like, oh, he's got his view, just his own view of justice. But like, I think it's important to note that while Rorschach, Rorschach is by far one of the most reprehensible, if not the most reprehensible character in the entire book. He is extremely. Oh no! Other than the comedian,
yeah, I was saying, I think the comedian, like Rorschach's fucked up. I think comedians got
the comedian is absolutely worse. Just kidding. But I mean, he is extremely problematic. He says and does really terrible things, but I mean, he is so complex that there is a method to the madness that like he's just such an interesting character.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just his background, how he came to be, how he is. Like I love that they really dive into that.
Yeah.
And just like how Rorschach became Rorschach. And it's really he's a very well balanced in terms of writing character, because like you'll find he'll be saying things for a minute and you'll be like, oh yeah, he's right, he has a point, and then he'll immediately say some really fucked up like alt-right shit, like literally alt-right shit.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa, wait a minute, where did that come from? And then there's this kind of this like I think the whole graphic novel kind of tackles this idea of no ideas are completely separate. Like there's always a sliding scale of like there is no yes good, no bad.
Yeah.
It's all on the same plate, it's all there.
Yeah.
And I think Rorschach is one of the most identifiable aspects of that. It's just like it kind of makes you question yourself a little, just like, oh, like he like this is what people think is good, but then he also is doing all this shit. So like where's the line? There is no line. And that's kind of the point of Watchmen, is that there is no good, there is no bad. There's just humans. It's a story about humanity.
Yeah. I think Rorschach, I mean, if obviously Watchmen is an ensemble piece. It focuses on so many characters, but if Watchmen were to have one sort of protagonist, I mean, it would probably be Rorschach. He is who you start off with as the first perspective you get, and the end of his story is essentially the end of the book. and I think it was an interesting choice for that to be the lens through which we got the story.
For sure. Yeah, because I mean, you're like literally even after he is dead, the last like panel
Yeah,
of the graphic novel is his notes being
yeah.
picked up for distribution in that shitty alt-right magazine.
Yeah.
So like,
I love the world building too. They do so much with, oh, here are bands that exist in this universe. Here are all these different newspapers and magazines, and
yeah,
then they give you the content that is being featured in it. And that's one of the things I love about the show too, is that they carry that over. They have all those, like, if you pass by a newspaper stand, you see, oh, there's an issue of the New Frontiersman.
yeah,
And I think just the world they're able to create, that is, I mean, still so similar and yet so different from our own world.
yeah. Because I mean, isn't it it's a world where Nixon wasn't impeached, right? Isn't
Right.
that?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the diverging point is,
The Vietnam War, right? Wouldn't that be?
well, so the obviously we didn't have all those masked superheroes going on in our timeline in the 40s, but
Wait,
like
what?
the real diverging point is Dr. Manhattan coming into existence.
Yeah.
And then because Dr. Manhattan exists when Nixon is president, he uses him. He decides to use him in the Vietnam War,
Yeah.
which keeps Nixon from being impeached, which allows him to run for re-election 5 different times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nixon would too.
yeah.
It's a very interesting world. I know we've talked about this a little bit. You didn't like the pirate sub story comic, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I imagine anyone listening in on here is probably familiar with the graphic novel. But in case you aren't, there's this recurring thing for a significant portion of the graphic novel, where there's this guy reading a comic book inside of the comic book.
Comic bookception.
And it's about pirates. It's the story about a guy who, his entire crew has been murdered, and he's got to make his way back to the town to warn them about pirates who are coming to destroy the village. And it's just this very gruesome, very dark story, and
And it's great.
it plays up interspersed throughout everything else going on as I guess a thematic undercarriage. But for me, it was just annoying. I was trying to focus on what was going on in the story, and instead I was getting these long didactic musings of some sad pirate man.
The Sad Pirate Man is cool. I liked Sad Pirate Man until he was like
It would be
he
fine.
killed his wife and kid. See, I like that. See, it's because I love dark gritty shit, but also all of Watchmen is dark gritty shit. So I don't fully understand.
No, well, it's not the fact that it's dark and gritty. It's the way it's done. It's just boring. He
It's
says
not,
the same
though.
thing over and over again.
He's a fucking. I mean, he's like marooned. Like no shit. He's fucking addle brained. Like it's all fucked up.
It didn't vibe with me.
Lame-o.
Yeah.
I will admit that was the hardest part for me to get through.
Mm-hmm.
But like once like I got to the like as I figured it was gonna be something like that. He was gonna like act like his wife actually wasn't dead. And he was gonna kill her. I've seen that shit happen
I
a lot of times. And also, sorry,
predicted. I definitely predicted the end of that storyline.
Yeah.
Like long before it was over.
I will say, I don't know about this instance specifically, but Watchmen as a whole, I say like, oh, I've seen the ending of like the pirate guy thing 1,000 times, like in other stories. Like, oh, it was actually, it turns out it was all a misunderstanding, and then he did the thing. But Watchmen, people don't realize how influential Watchmen was, like in our media. Like it is referenced in so many things. Like there are so many quotes, just quotes from Watchmen. I had no idea were from Watchmen. That just were out in the world. Like Rorschach's line in prison. Like oh, you think I'm locked in here with you? You're all locked in here with me. I've heard that a
Yeah.
million times in a million different things. Never knew it was a Watchmen quote.
And may I say that was the delivery of it was quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and there's a lot of those like fun one-liners in there that really do persist. I'm sure you are thinking of the same Ozymandias line I am.
Ooh. Yeah, do you think I'm just some serial comic villain? If I had any, if I thought you could influence the outcome, I would have told you my master stroke. I did it 35 minutes ago.
I did it
I had
35
chills.
minutes ago.
Dude, I've never had a fucking, even a book give me, well, maybe when I was a kid, but like typically I've never had a book or a comic book give me chills.
Yeah.
Like just for reading something, I got chills from that line.
Very
like holy shit.
Yeah. I just because of how pervasive it is in pop culture, I had a vague idea of where the graphic novel was going the whole time.
Yeah.
But I never expected that. Like I never expected the heroes to lose in such a monumental and tragic way.
Yeah, same. Like I knew it was dark. I knew like you said, like because it is so pervasive in culture. Like I would honestly argue it's one of the most influential comics graphic novels ever.
Yeah.
Like almost hands down.
I would agree with that.
So pervasive, and it's like you can see structural elements that other movies and shows have taken from it. It's just it's very pervasive and justifiably because it has just such profound themes and the fact that it is a graphic novel that, as we discussed earlier, no one is 100% good or bad. Like even the comedian, who is just a horrendous, vile, disgusting human, has a sense of morality in that he is so fucked up and evil, but when he finds out about Ozymandias' plan, he is broken.
Yeah.
This person without a code, without a conscience, he is broken by Ozymandias' plan. And I think that is very telling. And like even someone who you would think is very two-dimensional, oh, he's just an asshole shitbag, even he has some depth.
Well, even he has limits. Even he has lines that he will not cross.
Yeah, the man who has crossed every line.
The man, like the rapist, murderer, every other awful thing in the book.
Yeah, even he has a line, and that is very powerful in its own right.
Yeah.
It's that there is no black or white. There's always a shade of gray, and I think that's a very powerful theme that, like, even today, you see it in things, but it's not super duper common. It still, in most mainstream media, it's still, things are typically black or white. And so, like, I feel like Watchmen just really goes all in on that, just tackles it of it's all shades of gray. There might be darker shades of gray and lighter shades of gray, but it's all shades of gray. And I think that's a very powerful element to it.
Yeah. That is something that is lost with the TV show. I think it does seem to draw clearer lines of who is good and who is bad, but it does maintain that sense of humanity in all the characters, like that all of the good characters are capable of bad, and or more along the lines of all characters are capable of bad, and it's a matter of just sort of a spectrum of how far people are willing to go.
I definitely I do need to watch the show. It's only what 8, 10 episodes,
9, I think.
9. Oh man, right in the middle, so
Yeah.
close. I definitely need to check it out. That's probably what I'll start after I finish Silicon Valley, because I definitely need to watch it.
Mhm.
Because like I said, like it's definitely my favorite graphic novel. Which, to be fair, I haven't seen that many or read that many graphic novels. I've read like some of The Walking Dead. I've read a lot of manga over the years, but I don't even know if that even qualifies really. But even then, like Watchmen is just such a standout thing. And I think if you're interested in graphic novels at all, they're like, if you've, heard like, oh, a lot of them are kind of kiddie, a lot of them are like, oh, I don't know if it would really stimulate me intellectually. Like, go for Watchmen. It's a good, and check out Alan Moore as a whole. He is a lot of really good stuff. I really need to check out Swamp Thing. That was him.
Yes,
Apparently,
I
that's really, really good. From what
yeah,
I hear.
I've always heard excellent things about Swamp
Apparently,
Thing.
the show was really good too, but it got canceled
Yeah.
after like 8 episodes
Yeah.
because they stupidly made it the flagship show of DC Universe and then immediately gave up on DC Universe. But I do actually want to watch that season of Swamp Thing because I've heard it's actually really, really good.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's based off an Alan Moore property, so like I can definitely see it.
Hmm. Well, I mean, we discussed Swamp Thing in one of my literature classes
Really?
at University of Alabama, and it wasn't even like it was it was not even a comic book sort of literature class. Like it was a regular Southern literature, and discussing how
Swamp
well,
Thing Southern literature?
yeah, because it's Louisiana,
Fair.
and sort of how how its exploration of horror is a reflection of the society in which it's taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised there aren't, side tangent, this might get cut, but I'm surprised there aren't more. Well, I guess there's some Southern set horror.
well, that was the class I took. It was
Yeah.
Southern horror literature, and
There's
there's a
thinking more
lot.
films and stuff, but
There's a lot of. I mean, obviously, it was set more on books,
yeah.
and horror literature is very different from horror cinema.
Yeah.
But I was very surprised at how well those two themes mesh together,
Well, I mean,
like
because if you think,
horror discourse and Southern studies.
oh yeah, because like I mean, if you look at, have you seen Get Out,
I have not.
bro?
I know. I need to.
It's so fucking good. Please
Yeah.
watch it. Next time you visit, we are watching Get Out.
Okay.
I am decreeing it. But I mean, that plays with a lot of racial horror, but that also ties into Southern culture because racism is unfortunately so prevalent here. And I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
That's Southern horror.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Skeleton Key.
Haven't seen that. I need to.
I've not seen it, but I've heard good things.
A handful of Western horrors could probably count, maybe. Like Bone Tomahawk. I don't know where that's set, but because like I think there is a lot to play with there.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of scary shit down here. I'm surprised there's not more monster horror set in the South. Because like I mean, it's a lot of Southern fears, or I mean, you're just like, oh, the coyotes got in the chicken pen again. Like there's something you can play with there, even though it's that seems kind of goofy and is more played up for laughs and the joke in media typically. I think you could absolutely play that up for horror. Just grand skillet. Like I I'm working on a werewolf idea set in the South, kind of along those lines. It might be shit, but I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Southern horror. Let's make it happen in film. If you are listening and have a lot of money and want to give me money to make a movie about Southern
Oh,
monster horror,
what am I thinking of? I think it's 2,000 Maniacs or 20,000 Maniacs, something like that. But it's a Deliverance too, but 20,000 Maniacs, where the small southern town is having their festival, and these northern kids are driving through and they want to check out the festival, and it's really, the town is a bunch of ghosts who were murdered by Sherman's march and are taking their revenge on the northern college students.
interesting. I will say one issue I kind of have is that outside of potentially Get Out, all Southern horror ish things, it's always the Southerners being the fucked up monster in some way. Like, I mean, there's a trope of like, oh, they find the hillbilly in the gas station
Yeah.
who it's like, oh, you're gonna die. It's like, it's very tropey at this point, where it's all the Southerners are always backwards and stupid and or monstrous in their own right. There's not a lot of Southern people dealing with either. It could be something else. Like Get Out deals with that. It's a Southern person against other Southern people. It's race based, but it still applies.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's usually it's become tropey how it's, oh, the northern frat boys come down and get chopped up by the southern hillbillies, like literally Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that is something that I think that class did very well, is all of the books we read, and also the books we read had a lot, like did a lot with African American issues, Native American issues, LGBT issues in the South, but it was very like Southerners against Southerners, and
I like that. That's good.
yeah. This is not necessarily a great example, but have you ever seen Dale and Tucker versus Evil?
I have.
But
that flips the trope a bit.
Yeah, I mean that's something I do really like that movie. And while the main characters are still stereotypes, and like not very, what's the word, complimentary stereotypes, but I mean it really is, they're these two buddies who just want to fix up a house, and everybody thinks they're crazy axe murderers.
See, I think the stereotypes work in that because in having those stereotypes still, it is still subverting because of, oh yeah, they're kind of freaky looking. Now they got axes and like, oh, it looks like they're covered in blood. It was just like the deer or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, but like it's playing off of other people's perceptions of that. Like, oh, you see that? Why do you automatically assume they're big scary killers, even though they're just a little weird?
Yeah.
Like, I think that in having those stereotypes, because there's many different ways you can subvert a trope. You can either completely go against it and actually, oh, these Southern guys are actually college professors at Stanford or something, or you can embrace those tropes but flip people's perceptions or over exaggerate those perceptions. And that's what Tucker and Dale vs. Evil does, and I think it does it very well. It's like, yeah, they still have those stereotypes, but it plays with people's perception of those stereotypes, and I think that works very well. It's a great movie, and Alan Tudyk, love that man. Mwah. Amazing man. Very underrated actor.
I'm so glad we've had this conversation that will probably not make it into the podcast.
We'll squeeze it in maybe, even though we're definitely closing in on an hour and a half. So gotta do our mystery subject.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm pro Watchmen.
I am also pro Watchmen. Very big fan.
More the graphic novel than the film, but like the film's still fine.
And that's kind of where I am too. I think I like the film a bit better than you did, but definitely if I'm going to introduce someone to Watchmen, if I had a copy of the graphic novel still in my possession to loan to people, then I would, introduce them to the graphic novel first.
You really should get your own copy. I don't know why you haven't gotten one.
It's a curse. I don't understand. It's the Watchmen curse. You're gonna eventually either A, give me back my copy and get your own copy, unlikely but possible, or B, you're going to forget that it's my copy and then loan that copy to someone else and then never get it back, and it'll just be a cycle.
I think that's beautiful, Philip.
It just passes on. Someone else gets to enjoy it, and then it moves on. It's the Watchmen curse or blessing, depending on how you look at it.
Can I just say, I hate possums, and I will never understand all of this like pro possum discourse that we have.
I feel like we've had this conversation before. What brought this up?
Well, I was just scrolling on social media and I saw yet another person talking about how cute possums are.
I don't hate them, but I don't like them either. They're just kind of there, kind of freaky.
Well, okay, I will admit that I have an irrational dislike of them, but it's still gross for people to like them.
How dare you have a different opinion than mine?
Exactly.
Like for some reason, every time I've seen a possum, it's always been very startling. Like I'll just look at a fence and there'll just be a possum on the fence at me, and I'm like, oh well, hello there. But why? But why though? I don't know. I think it's because it's a kind of a counterculture thing almost. That people are like, because most people I would say don't like possums, but it's like it's just misunderstood. It's like, I mean, they also have rabies.
Well, no. Apparently, most of them don't have rabies.
Do they not?
According
says
to
random Facebook image with no source
propaganda on Facebook.
They're fine. I have nothing really against them. I don't like them either. They're just kind of there. Every girl I've dated has liked possums.
That's disconcerting.
That's a weird trend.
Like
even in high school.
I mean, it's weird that all of the people you've dated have liked possums. It's weirder that you distinctly remember for each of these people. There was some circumstance that came up in each of these relationships that you remember.
And literally some of those relationships lasted a month and a half. Possums are apparently very prevalent in my life. Yeah, that's odd. That's a weird. I don't know how I feel about that one. Let's back to the podcast.
We're talking about possums in next week's podcast.
Oh God.
I have thought that almost every single thing that we've talked about, I have been pro. And so I want something to be anti.
Yeah, I even gave you grunge as a freebie, and you weren't as vitriol filled as I was hoping.
Yeah.
Have I been fully anti anything?
I don't think so.
I've had nitpicks and stuff.
You were nitpicky about T-Swizzle, but I don't think you said anti Taylor Swift.
I think I was neutral.
Yeah. That's actually next week's surprise is going to be just Taylor Swift's new album.
Oh God. I'm not listening to another full Taylor Swift albums. I listened to fucking 5 full Taylor Swift albums for this fucking podcast. It was torture.
I'm proud of you.
You couldn't even listen to my full 20 song list of grunge.
Yeah.
32. Fake fan of me. Where the fuck's your name on Facebook?
Oh, are you sending the link that way?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Because I'm
I thought it was gonna be like the surprise thing was going to be a link to my Facebook page, and we were just going to, you know,
Critique your social media
yeah.
presence. Yeah, as I said, you have seen this before. I just want to watch it again myself because I like it, and I just want to talk about it and the subsequent material around it. I want to give it more attention.
Philip, why don't you tell us what we just watched?
Well, Seth, I just showed you "Finest Girl," aka the Bin Laden song by The Lonely Island, and for those of you who somehow don't know who The Lonely Island are, they're a comedy musical group. And Bin Laden's song is, what I think, one of their most underrated songs. Doesn't get a lot of love. It's just fucking out there, and I love it.
Well, a lot of their songs from their films tend to go by the wayside.
It's a
Like
shame because
it's never.
Popstar was actually a pretty decent movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I have not. I need to, because everyone I've spoken to about it has had only good things to say about it.
it's not like a groundbreaking film, but like it's a solid comedy film. Like it's enjoyable. Like it bombed hard. Like I think it had like it had a pretty big budget and did not make any of it back. I want to say it had like a $30 million budget, $30 million budget, and had made only like 10 million
Yeah.
theaters. Big old bomb. Which is a shame because it's a solid movie because it's the Lonely Island. They're funny guys.
Yeah.
But the Bin Laden song specifically, I just it tickles my fancy. It's just it's my kind of comedy. It's dark without being. It's whimsical and it's offensive humor.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly, and I think that works.
I appreciated the fact that it's almost entirely SNL cast members. I loved seeing there's one scene or one bit where it goes to Obama and has Obama talking to the narrator of the song, if you will, and the Obama is Jay Farrow, who played Obama for most of his time on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So that was a nice touch. That was something I appreciated. A little bit of a throwback.
The music video definitely has a lot of humor in it. And just Andy Samberg's just a great showman. And even like obviously music video, he's playing a character because this is a song from the movie, so he is playing a character in this music video. So it's a little convoluted, but
and then at the end it hits you with the it was a virtual reality set the whole time.
Yeah,
like
it's just it's wacky. It's out there. I love the bit where towards the end where it's the guy dressed up as Uncle Sam and the guy dressed as Bin Laden. It's like they touch hands. It's like, oh, fuck like Bin Laden, made a fucker like the U.S. government. Fuck Bin Laden. Was a fugitive. That ass. It's weird that like this. It's a weird blend of like it's the kind of comedy I really like. It's why I like Airplane so much.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's dumb, goofy comedy, but it's done in an intelligent way.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not just, oh, we're gonna do and say all the stupid shit and see what sticks. We're going to say and do the stupid shit, but we're gonna plan out exactly what we do. We know our theme. We know civic stuff. Like he wasn't in a cave, but there was no stopping. Like there's lots of like because like off that line it plays off of stereotypes that surrounded Bin Laden. Like, oh, he was in a cave. Oh, he was, the poor and all this. Like, no, he lived in a fucking mansion. They raided a fucking mansion. like he wasn't in a cave, but there was no stopping. You want me to fuck her like we fucked Bin Laden?
Well, and I mean that is also just kind of the beauty of the Lonely Island is it's at a very sort of surface level, incredibly stupid. I mean, kind of like Family Guy on surface level, incredibly stupid and like naff, but like there is a lot of thought that goes into it. That like that there is an intelligence there. That there is. It's very deliberate and
Yeah.
calculated.
I'd probably compare them more to Airplane or Mel Brooks films than I would Family Guy.
Yeah.
But I see your point though for sure. But I feel like they kind of go along the Airplane Mel Brooks method a little bit more. Where like they'll definitely do offensive, over the top humor. There's usually a point to it, or there's an underlying theme, or if it is just over the top, it's embracing that and like it's going full force with it.
I would not use Mel Brooks as an example of there's a point to it.
Sure, there is. There's Spaceballs tackles themes of capitalism. Technically not wrong.
Blazing Saddles
Tackles
doesn't
racism.
have an end of the movie. It just stops.
And that's the point. Is there really ever an end? It's theological. You're just not thinking hard enough.
Stop.
We're good. Next week, we're going to in-depth analyze the social commentary of all the Mel Brooks films.
Oh god.
There's actually a lot.
I can't wait to. Okay, I was about to make a joke about. I can't wait to explore the socioeconomic ramifications of Men in Tights, but then I was like, I actually probably could come up with some socioeconomic.
We absolutely could do an in-depth dive of Mel Brooks films. Oh, absolutely, 100%. 100%. If we really wanted to, we could pull something out of our asses. But yeah, I am a big fan of Lonely Island in general.
What's your favorite Lonely Island song?
My favorite Lonely Island song is probably Jack Sparrow.
Okay, yeah.
Jack Sparrow's great. I'm a movie nerd. It appeals to me.
For me, Jack Sparrow's definitely up there, and it's the one that I will find myself like humming in my head for weeks after I listen to it. But Boombox has always been my top one.
Boombox is good. It's not one I revisit super frequently, but anytime I do stumble across it, I'm just on like a Lonely Island binge. I'm like, this is good.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of their just blatant like over the top ones so much as like Jizz in My Pants, Threw It on the Ground is
Jizz in My Pants has never done it for me.
You don't like the jizz in your pants.
I'm not a fan.
It's messy. Gets everywhere, like sand.
This is a family-friendly podcast.
It's when? Do I need to bring up fucking elves again? But would you? Are you telling me? You're never having a political career because of this podcast. Because of me. It's not even because of you. It's just like you associate with him. No, you can't do it. Doesn't even matter if I'm like a famous film director or some shit.
No. It's not like anything I've ever done that'll keep me from my political career.
It's your company.
I'm associated with numerous known fugitives. You know?
A couple serial killers. You know, got a good variety.
Goodness gracious.
But would you fucking elf?
We're
the
not
next Lonely Island song.
You're not having this conversation. No, I want you to take the link to the last podcast with a specific timestamp for that question, and then send it to Andy Samberg and be like, new song idea? Question mark?
Please,
Question mark?
All of our audience, please tweet Andy Samberg. Please tweet Andy Samberg and tell him, hey, fucking elves, that could be a song idea. Just kidding, and last.
But would you?
But would you, Andy Samberg? But would you? Andy Samberg would.
Oh yeah.
I think no question. We'll get story by credit on their next music video.
And that'll be our
careers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the story for a Lonely Island song.
Hey, I'll still put it on a resume.
Oh fuck yeah. But Lonely Island is great. I was for a long time Three-Way was my favorite Lonely Island song. It's a good one. Dick in the Box is a classic.
Yeah.
Not my favorite, but it's good. It kind of launched them into the mainstream. So
Yeah. I do appreciate all of the Justin Timberlake duos. So those two, and then Mother Lover too.
Both of those
But
probably my least favorite of the group.
none of them are my favorites.
That's fair. I really like certain moments of three way, like when like also like Lady Gaga is in it. I love
Lady Gaga's part in it is very nice.
It's like that part in the music video where she like wanders back in. And she's like, "Oh, you're still here." It's like, "Oh my!" But great band, great stuff. I'm very pro the Lonely Island. I'm very pro the Bin Laden song.
Just wanted to give a quick mention to the Just Two Guys ones. Where it's are you familiar? Where it's like the two other members of the Lonely Island that are not Andy Samberg, and
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just giving them a shout out.
Just well, they're like 4 different songs where it's just the two of them being like very, plain and boring straight white guys, and they're like, we're just 2 guys and we're having a good time.
I've seen at least one of those.
Yeah.
Let's see, Like a Boss. I'm not a huge fan.
I can appreciate Like a Boss.
Oh, I'm on a Boat. That's a classic. God, 11 years ago.
I'm on a Boat never really did it for me.
It's just quotable.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It's fine. And I think that's like also it started like really kicked off like, oh, they're getting like really big celebrities to do these dumb songs with them. That's fun.
Yeah.
Same with I Just Had Sex. Was that also T-Pain?
I think so, yeah.
They really like T-Pain.
Or alternatively, T-Pain really likes them.
Also fair. Also fair.
Also, T-Pain, if you're one of our subscribers, let us know. We'll let you do
We'll do a music video with you.
Yeah.
I'm on a kayak because that's all we can afford. Good stuff. Good stuff. Pro the Lonely Island. Pro Andy Samberg. He's a good guy.
Oh,
Everything I've never heard anything negative about him.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Pretty funny guy. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is solid. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
I've seen a couple episodes.
It's pretty solid. Rosa Diaz is the love of my life. Is that it, Seth? Any thoughts on the Lonely Island?
I'm pro the Lonely Island, pro the Bin Laden song.
I'm glad you're pro the Bin Laden song. Seth is pro Bin Laden. Oh my god.
I am pro Bin Laden. Heard it here.
Yeah, that's a good soundbite. Now you finally have something against you specifically. And now you can never run for office.
Actually leverage that.
It's like in 2020, you said on the record that you were pro Bin Laden. It's like, Andy Samberg, save me.
You may quote me.
Best out of context quotes. I can't wait. I want to get big enough that we have like an actual audience of more than 4.5. So I can just like call out to our audience like, hey, please find us terrible out of context quotes. Because I don't want to do all that work myself, even though we only have like 7 episodes.
Yeah.
So if any of you want to find our best quotes / worst quotes, put them in the comments.
That's going to be an entire video. Is just after our first like 15 episodes, we'll do a compilation of all of the most cringeworthy stuff we've said.
Wow, so 15 hours of content.
Yeah. Which by then our fan base will have grown into the hundreds. So it shouldn't be that hard.
We'll have at least 10.
At least. Yeah.
We might hit double digits. Well, we'll get there. We're gonna be huge, famous. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Links for shit will be in the description below. Thank you for listening to this bullshit. Love you all. Maybe we'll have an episode next week too. Maybe we won't. Who knows? Toodaloo.
See you on the flip side.
Flip.